Productivity. The level of output of a given process relative to the level of input is productivity. This is the only ratio that you need to know, which is productivity is output over input. Productivity could be referred to individual production or service operations, or could be referred to a national economy. This is one of the most important metrics, because the only way that you can increase the wages without increasing the cost of the product is by increasing productivity. With high productivity in the developed countries, we have all these benefits of few cars, TVs, and so on and so forth. The high productivity in the nation is going to give us higher standard of living, which means productivity is one of the extremely important measures in development of manufacturing processes. Basically, our ratio of productivity is output over input, and there is only really two methods to improve on productivity. One is to increase output without increasing input, or decrease input and keep output the same. Every task will have productive content, productive content, and we have non-productive elements. Non-productive elements, for example, is looking for a tool, walking to bring the bin, inspecting the part, and so on and so forth. The only productive work content actually improves productivity. The rest should be eliminated or decreased as much as it could be. Keep in mind that labor itself does not contribute much to improving productivity. In high volume production, labor doesn't exceed more than 10% of the cost of the product. Much more important factors are capital or technology. Once when you automate process, you can increase productivity significantly. Or if you change technology, how you make the parts, productivity could be increased. Here is one sample where how the productivity is calculated. We have our output, which is calculated as a standard cost of manufacturing, like labor, machine, and overhead. Here, material wasn't used because the material was supplied by GM and so on, and input were ours. As you guys see, week 36, we have output, which is cost of manufacturing 108,321, and input, which is our labor, direct labor, 1431, which is gonna give us $76 per hour hourly rate. And as you see, there was improvement in this period, going from 76, 79, 100, 102 every weekend. One of the later classes, I'll explain how it really worked. I work for this company. Example number one. During the base year in small steel mill, 326,000 tons of steel were produced using 203,000 labor hours. In the next year, the output was 341,000 tons using for 246,000 labor hours. Example two. A work group of 5 workers in a certain month produced 500 units of output working 8 hours per day for 22 days in the month. Suppose the next month, the same work group produced 600 units, but there were only 20 work days in the month. Different types of productivity. We could have single factor productivity like labor productivity, materials productivity, or capital productivity. Obviously, if you are a production manager, most likely labor productivity would be the most important variable that you look at. Materials manager or quality manager will be looking at materials productivity, and engineering managers responsible for the capital most likely will be looking at this capital productivity. As a plant manager and the owner, you want to look that multi-factor productivity or overall productivity, and that could come down output over labor plus material plus overhead, or labor plus energy plus capital, and so on and so forth. Osborne, example number 3. Osborne Industry is complying the monthly report for the board of directors. The average labor rate is $15 an hour, and the average machine usage rate is $10 an hour. Units produced were 100,000, labor hours 10,000, machine hours 5,000, cost of materials 35,000, cost of energy 15,000. Tried and True Clothing has opened 4 new stores in college towns across the state. Date on monthly sales volume and labor hours are given below. Tried and true accountants suggest that monthly rent and hourly wage rate also be factored in the productivity calculations. Annandale pays the highest average wage at $6.75 an hour. Blacksburg pays $6.5 an hour. Charlottesville, $6, and Danville, $5.5. The cost to rent store space is $1,800 a month in Annandale, $2,000 a month in Blacksburg, $1,200 a month in Charlottesville, and $800 a month in Danville.